What is up, my brothers? So in this video we're going to be talking about enjoying the decline. I did 2 episodes on my Unplugged Alpha series podcast on the YouTube channel over the last few weeks. It was episode 9 and 10 talking about these topics, and there's quite a few people that called in that wanted to chime in with solutions and offer up other ideas, and there was some really good dialogue and I really enjoyed it. But with this video I kind of want to sum it up in a standalone piece to really get to the bottom of it after I've had a couple weeks now to reflect on it. So to state the problem first, I think it's widely accepted at this stage by most guys as they reach a certain age that the West is on a general downward trajectory. This is not abnormal, okay? Like civilizations, empires have come and gone throughout history. Greek, Roman, Ottoman, Byzantine, the Mayans, they've all left behind relics and whatnot, but they've all come and gone. So at this stage in history, I think it's widely understood again and believed that the West is on a downward trajectory. There's a few different things that contribute to it. You can go watch those episodes if you want to get some more frame on it, but just to quickly touch on it. Things like women, for example, today, mostly in the West, they want to have kids, but they don't necessarily want to be mothers or wives, okay? So what I mean by that is, women have a innate, genuine, burning desire to want to, have children. Only the way that they go about it today is they're not raising kids anymore on their own. They're just dumping them off at the daycare center and then letting daycare centers take care of them, or the school system to educate and indoctrinate them. And I'll talk more about the indoctrination a little bit as well too. But they're not behaving like mothers. It's chase the degrees, get the pieces of paper with little letters after your name, framed in mahogany, put it up on the wall, and you too can have a fulfilled life. That's the narrative that society sells men and women, but specifically to women's objectives. They're basically being told you can have a career, you can be a boss girl, you can be a mom, and have it all. So they don't particularly want to be mothers, but they want to have kids, which is bizarre because we know from research that one of the worst things that you can do to small children, especially small children, from the ages of basically preschool through the first couple grades, is drop them off in daycare centers and leave them in the hands of somebody else to raise. There's been a lot of research done on that, and it's a very, very bad thing. It's been covered many, many times. I don't need to beat that one too much. The other component of that is that women basically, they don't want to be wives. Traditionally, for a very long period of time, men and women would complement each other's lives, right? There was a masculine, there was a feminine. Today, women are more masculine than what they are feminine for the most part, especially if they're chasing careers, degrees, promotions, raises, and all that sort of stuff. They're not very feminine. They're far more masculine, and they don't behave like wives anymore. They're generally, behaving like terrible versions of men, if we're being honest. And this is just a few of the things that we talked about on those 2 podcast episodes. A lot of guys were expressing some of these grievances when they were calling in and how to potentially deal with that. But that's to give you an example of, part of what's contributing to the decline in society. And what guys are dealing with from their perspective is they feel like the fabric of, family and the types of relationships that they've been sold to seek don't actually exist anymore. So there's that. There's other components to it as well, which are contributing to the decline. One of the biggest ones today is government. As I'm recording this today, we're in the midst of a federal election. Probably by the time I publish this, there'll be a result. I'm going to go out on a limb here. I think it's going to be another Liberal or Justin Trudeau minority. We've seen some improvement in the Max Bernier camp, which is more of a conventional conservative type of party, not like the conservative party that we have in Canada with Erin O'Toole, which is mostly liberal light. It's like a lighter color of red, for example. But the government itself today has done a phenomenal job of stripping away what most men typically would have enjoyed a long time ago from relationships and from life. They're more taxed than ever before. The top tax rate here, you go chase excellence, you put your dent in the universe, you make some serious money, you're going to pay 53% on your income. You then take that income, you invest it into a product or something that gets you a great rate of return. the government then takes 50% of that. So 50% of 50%, 50% of the 53% that you already taxed, they're taking that. And they keep introducing all these new taxes here anyway, which is quite similar in the US. I mean, I hear a lot of my American friends complain about the taxes that Joe Biden's bringing into place. It pales into comparison to what's going on here. And, you know, this is really just a sign or signal of what you can expect down in the US if things continue on the same trend. But they've got these new taxes coming out. There's a luxury tax on more expensive vehicles. Again, you go and do the work, you put your dent in the universe, you want to reward yourself with a nice car. Hey, have fun, but you're going to be paying somewhere between like 15 and 25% tax on it, depending on how that all sizes up. They're even talking about capital gains tax on your principal residence, which is basically the only tax-free haven that we have still, where you buy a house, you live in it, and when you sell it, you don't pay any tax on any of the gains that you've made. But now these governments are introducing bills in Parliament, which they're trying to pass through, which are going to tax the gains on your principal residence. So, you know, from that perspective, the West isn't a great place to live. It's higher taxes, and then the flip side of the coin is, you know, most guys are of the opinion that, okay, I don't mind paying my share, but I'd like, you know, my freedoms and I'd like access to certain things. The problem is that they keep taking shit from you, stealing it, essentially, and then they also take away freedoms from you as well. Right now, and it's been 2 years, at the time of recording this, basically, this entire beer bug, COVID, lockdown situation, it's not lightning. You know, it's 2 weeks to flatten the curve, and then it was, well, just take the vaccine, everything will go back to normal. Then take the vaccine and wear a mask and it'll go back to normal. Take the vaccine and have a passport and wear a mask and it'll go back to normal. It's like they keep adding more and more layers, and it's like we're not getting any more freedoms, we're losing freedoms. It's not like things are getting better and you're getting access to more things, you're losing access while paying more money. I've lost count of the friends that I've seen in the last 2 years leave Canada for a more friendlier place. And when I say friendly, like places that treat men better and have, you know, a higher caliber of women that they can, you know, date, access, marry, or whatever. So there is a general decline. Some people will argue it, you're being, you know, Okay, look, you can say whatever you want, but from the perspective of the guys that I talked to, and if you want to hear some of the complaints that they have, go watch episode 9 and 10 of the Unplugged Alpha podcast series. I'll put a card up on the top right. You can watch it after I finish this talk here. So it exists. We could go down a deep rabbit hole and summarize it all. I'm not going to do that. You should get the general idea. Now, the problem is a lot of guys have something that I'm just going to define as hope, that things will get better. And I'm just going to be honest here. Hope is a terrible fucking plan. It's a really, really bad plan. A lot of the guys that called in on these series, they came up with all kinds of interesting ideas and solutions. Let me just try to pick a few out from the old memory bank. Some of them were, you know, something along the lines of, well, if we just retake the Conservative Party and make it a real Conservative Party again from the bottom up and rebuild it, things will change. Well, okay, cool idea, but again, we're in the midst of this federal election right now in Canada. When this is published, you're already going to know who the Prime Minister is. So you're going to find out, and again, I'm hoping my prediction is wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be correct, that there's still going to be a lot of votes. The vast majority of the votes that the population casts are going to be for policies that have just continued to build up to this shit shake that we're all drinking right now, okay? High taxes, wokeism, liberalism, more lockdowns, less ability to maneuver, wokeism, rainbows, just like it, you know, you just go down the list and it's like, how are you going to change politics from the bottom up in a party if the vast majority of the population, it's not that much different in the US and in Europe either, but if the vast majority of the population votes for big, retarded, slow, irresponsible, unaccountable government? Because that's what people vote for. They don't vote for small government. They don't vote for more freedom. They don't vote for lower taxes. They vote for control. They don't see people. One of the things that I've learned is that people in the West, they don't want freedom. They want free shit. And that comes with big government controls and policies that are going to impose, restrictions on your life, your ability to maneuver, and everything else that you want to do. So you got to understand these things. So that solution to the problem didn't work. There's another guy that said something along the lines of, well, if we just take women's voting rights away, everything will be fixed. And it's like, okay, buddy, but how do you execute that, right? Okay, so yeah, women vote more, for more liberalism. Women typically vote for more social programs and policies. It's always been that way. It's always going to be that way. You think that they're going to give up their right to vote for that stuff just because you said that it's, that it's a good idea? Like, hope is not a good plan for these things. They don't have an actual plan that's executable that would be a reasonable way to solve any of these problems. And again, I made this proposal when I was doing the podcast. If you have a YouTube podcast or a podcast, of your own, and you'd like to chop up these ideas with me, shoot me an email. It's on the About page. I don't mind scheduling something in, and you'll hop on your platform. Let's chop it up. But I don't see any reasonable solutions aside from enjoy the decline, which is why I concluded at the end of those 2 podcasts, it's stop fighting it. You can either surrender to it and enjoy it, or another option would be to relocate to somewhere where you get treated better, which I've seen quite a few people do. And generally speaking, they're more than ecstatic with their choice to just pick up their shit and bounce.